Hey everybody, and welcome to Wonderland Comics Rabbit Hole, the first episode in what I hope becomes a series where I try to keep you informed, up to date, or just fill in gaps in your knowledge of niche, nerdy, comic booky stuff that I, for some reason, have decided to devote my life to caring about. And with the announcement of the X-Men cast for the upcoming MCU X-Men project, as well as the prominent featurings of the X-Men and the original Incredible Fox cast in Avengers Doomsday, where they will be fighting to try to seemingly save the existence of their own universe, it's got me thinking about a very important question related to the X-Men that has come up time and time again throughout their comic book history and even legally. Are mutants even human?
Fuck yourself.
Don't worry, I'm not going completely X-Men comic books Captain America on you here. No muties today, but it is an important question to signify sort of what the fight that the X-Men are constantly going through, the push and pull between Magneto's ideals and Charles's ideals, and the overall human response to the existence of altered humans, of mutants, and how that ends up affecting our real world and the ways that it relates to real world politics. The politics of X-Men comics and this centralizing question of, what exactly are mutants, whether or not they should be classed as the same and equal to the layman, and whether or not they should be, codified, rectified, somehow controlled by the rest of society. And you can see how some mutants might be considered extremely dangerous, omega level threats like Magneto or Iceman or on and on, Jean Grey, who pose a existential threat to the entire populace of the Earth, and in cases beyond, in the case of, say, Franklin Richards, who poses a threat to the entire universe and multiverse. So you can see why some people might say we need to have some regulations in place on these altered people, these mutants, these other humans, or are they even human? Well, if you ask the United States government and Marvel Comics, no, actually, mutants are not human beings, as Marvel and Hot Toys worked together to sue the United States government, as X-Men toys were being taxed as a human doll. And they come in to say that they should actually be taxed as robots, monsters, aliens, or other non-humanoid action figures rather than human dolls, because mutants, by nature of their advanced abilities and their altered genetics, aren't technically human beings in the same way that, say, a Barbie doll or a G.I. Joe is a human being. And they sued and won. In this instance, they sued and won that their own characters, whose central fight is to simply be considered on equal standing with their fellow man, are not in fact their fellow man, but rather something else. Marvel commented later and said that they are human beings centrally with extraordinary abilities, but from a legal standpoint, they weren't making that argument, just from a PR standpoint. So it begs the question, if mutants aren't human, would, say, in a real world scenario, a altered genetic version of people be treated in generally equal standing? And we've seen this with actual real world examples. Neanderthals and modern humans coexisted for a period of time, and Neanderthals were often treated, obviously as, subhuman or as less than. So, say the X gene were to just tomorrow somehow pop up out of the blue, and these people with these altered and enhanced abilities started to crop up all over the world in a X-Men or My Hero Academia-esque fashion, it wouldn't be that surprising to see the United States government and other governments around the world try to sort of reclassify and discriminate against, experiment with, and other things that do happen in the X-Men comics. I say all of this to say I do hope that the MCU X-Men project, which is upcoming, sticks with the comic books and even the Fox X-Men movies in terms of their ability to tackle this very real-world and important idea and stay true to this core value of the X-Men and their fight to be considered as equal and to be considered as human, even with the things that make them dangerous or different. has been a tendency of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially in the last 10 years or so, the Disney merger and all of that, to sort of stray away from difficult questions and instead provide a more streamlined and appropriated version of what is on offer in the books. But with the X-Men specifically, I feel as though that is entirely the wrong idea. I feel like tackling this problem head on and directly and having it be the central focus of this fight and this ideological difference that lays at the center of the X-Men comics is incredibly important to telling a compelling and interesting story with these characters. I think the cast is stellar. I haven't seen a casting yet that isn't absolutely incredible. I think the director is incredible. I think that this movie has the potential to be incredible, in line with, what is now decades running of fantastic X-Men comics, video games, TV, and movies, of course. I only hope that the MCU can continue to live up to that legacy of challenging difficult ideas and telling compelling stories about troubled characters who, although they are different, are still, and believe me when I say this, and it is 100% my belief, human. Very much human, just as much as anybody else at their core. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is a bit of a rambly series, and I'm sure that comes across in the sort of jumpy staccato style here, but I do hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you will let me know if you want to see more deep divey things on different characters, storylines, niche concepts, and other things related to all things Marvel, DC, Image, and other comic books. Really appreciate your time. We hope to see you up at Wonderland Comics here in Cookeville.